Hey guys, please join us on the AFTERBUZZ TV Project Runway recap coming up next. We're going to be recapping Season 15, Episode 13 with special guest Bert Keeter. You are not going to miss this episode.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, we are here recapping Season 15, Episode 13 of Project Runway. And here with me I have co-host Carmen Cameron and special guest Bert Keeter from Season 9. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm really excited to talk about this episode with you guys.
Yes.
This is like the episode right before we hit into Fashion Week, so this is going to determine who's in the finale.
I'm heartbroken. But I guess we'll get to that later.
It's every time though, right? Pretty much every time. Once you get up to like the top designers, whoever goes home, it's just...
Yeah, there's no way to avoid that little gut punch of, oh, you're my favorite.
And
everybody at this point is so talented.
I know, and for the designer, you're just like, I almost made it. One more episode. I mean, that's like so much worse than being sent home in the middle.
Well, my experience is, and they sort of tell you this when you leave, because they keep everybody there the entire season, even if you're the first person voted off.
Right.
Oh, wow.
You're down in purgatory for how many weeks in this little cold room where they throw you leftover food and stuff.
Oh, no, really?
Fortunately, I was only there for one day, but at the end of the show, the producer comes in. She says, you know, it's up to you now whether you're going to be the final four and everyone will see you on the show at the final four, or you've been eliminated. And you know, a lot of us got to show at Fashion Week anyway.
Right.
But it's really up to you to make it. You've got all this free publicity and this exposure now, whether you were eliminated at the beginning or the middle or the last person to be, like last night.
Right.
You've got a lot of opportunity now, so you have to work it. We're not going to do it.
Definitely.
True.
Yeah.
They will walk by you on the street and say hello.
I know.
A lot of major opportunities come like that. It's like if you're prepared for what you receive and you go with it, you can still be just as successful as a winner.
And sometimes even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the momentum that you take from the show, because I don't think, you know, people are always asking me, oh, you know, are you famous now? And I'm like, well, not really. But, you know, a lot of people that I was on the show with didn't really do anything with that, you know, that kind of launches you and gives you this momentum to do your work. And it can help you, but if you don't take advantage of that yourself and like keep working and like, you know, it's not just like, yes, I was on Project Runway and now I have all these people calling me wanting to invest and making my life, you know, awesome. It doesn't work like that. You have to put in your own personal work.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
definitely a perk though. So Bert, tell us a little bit about you. You were on Season 9. We know, you know, I met you on Facebook actually through a Project Runway group, and we all know you're very outspoken. We love you for that.
I was nicknamed Bertzilla.
Yeah, Bertzilla.
But, you know, for me it was interesting. I had never really watched Project Runway prior to going on the show. I mean, I saw a few episodes or maybe half an episode where, you know, they're on the runway, they're being critiqued, and Michael Kors is doing Michael Kors, and it's like, oh, I could never do that. But then friends of mine suggested, you know, try it and see what happens, and I've learned to just do the next indicated thing, and I applied for the first application process, and I was called back for the second and the third. Before you know it, I'm standing up there in front of Michael Kors.
On the first time, your first application.
Yeah, so it was great.
It was a little unbelievable, huh?
It was it was all a good experience. It's exhausting. It's a little, the very, very first episode when it was called Come As You Are, I think, where they wake you up and you have to walk to Parsons in your pajamas or whatever you slept in, and I was in the very beginning of that episode, I almost walked up to the producer and said, I don't want to do this. Before we start shooting, stop it, and I get out of here.
Wow.
But luckily I did, and I just went through it, and actually I won that episode, and but it was a fear that just came rushing in, and I just learned to not react to it, and just do something to distract your mind. So I cut up my boxer shorts and ironed them. I never looked back at fearful or scared. It was exhausting.
Amazing.
Really.
Yeah. Do you find that it was helpful or hurtful that you never watched the show before you went on?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I think I think what I didn't understand was a lot of the concepts of the challenges, the unconventional, and the these things that they do every season. Unfortunately, they keep doing them every season.
Right.
It's like I didn't understand that, you know, we're going to a pet shop and we're going to make things out of rocks. And so I had thought, how do you do? I mean, I don't know. I didn't understand that you use glue guns and all the arts and crafts techniques. And
Right.
So that was a bit of a handicap on that episode. But no, it just happened the way it happened, and I'm glad I did.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about your career.
Oy. Well, I've been around for a long time, and I had a great career. It sort of went sour in the early 90s because of some personal things I was dealing with. A lot of people were dealing with AIDS and losing my partner and some very good friends. And so I sort of backed out of it for a while, and then I got back into it when I moved back to LA 9 years ago, and it was backed by someone who believed in me a little bit, and she gave me the start of my own studio, and that's how I started again. But I'm not really, I just enjoy what I'm doing, and that's mostly evening or after 5, red carpet, and I'm not looking to make $1 billion, and I just want to enjoy. I really love what I'm doing. Currently, right now, I'm living most of the year in Italy. And I've been over there about a year now, and I'm looking to start doing something creative in Italy for myself and because I really like, and then I'll hopefully be able to bring it to America and sell it, or for clients I have. I do mostly made to order, or I have a one-store church boutique in LA that I take my pieces to, and they do very well with it, and that's really all I want. I'm not looking to, rule the world.
So was Project Runway kind of a rebirth for your career after you had lost your partner?
Yeah,
and
well,
gone through those low
not my
times?
career so much. It just gave me a lot. It was great.
A new momentum.
Well, social media, and I've met people on Facebook that I probably will never see, but we've all keep connecting, and it's for me I was the oldest contestant ever to be on the show, and there are people on there young enough to be my grandchildren, definitely my children, and I would think I was able to. I got a lot of not respect, but a lot of compliments about my talent and what I had to bring to the show, as opposed to a bunch of young people.
Because I would imagine that you have
education,
a
history.
Mastery in your technique. Like you said, a lot of the avant-garde pieces are created from glue and maybe strategies that aren't so typical. You know what I mean?
Well, I think also today, fashion for a lot of people or design is just a label. Oh, it's this label. I won't mention the names, so no one's supposed, but it's that label or so and so's. It's like, well, why do you really like it? And why do you think it's worth so many thousands of dollars? If you take that label out, it's just
It's nothing.
I mean, I was talking to some people yesterday about this. The skateboards and all that jazz in LA are so hip, and there was a line of people standing in front of the skateboard store on Fairfax the other night at like 11:30 at night. About 300 people standing in line to buy a T-shirt in the morning that they can sell online for $1,100, $1,200.
Yeah.
It says one word on it.
Yeah.
And it's like they can, because people they have to have it. It's like, why?
I aspire to be one of those.
No,
I need
but
to
it's
sell
just-
an $1,100 T-shirt.
No, but that's what I mean. It's like fashion's becomes, it's just weird. And
it
as
is.
opposed to, I love it because it looks beautiful, or I need it.
Or
Some
it's
people-
wearable,
Yeah,
wearable. A lot of these things aren't even really wearable.
Well,
Yeah.
or if you're going
That's
to
what I
invest, in Europe, the people, there's very little purchasing of these things by Europeans. It's mostly tourists
Yeah.
that are driving this market of a $6,000 handbag with bugs all over it, and
Right.
or a $900 pair of ripped jeans from a certain dead fashion designer.
Just for the label.
Yeah, you take the label out and it looks like something you got at Restoration Hardware.
Right.
It's just not.
So when you're actually in the Project Runway workroom, how much is really technical sewing and how much of it is just creativity? Because a lot of times we'll see a dress or a garment and it'll be creative, but then you'll look at their technicalities and it'll look like maybe they may not be a good seamstress or they may not really know how to sew.
Well, it's not about. I think I have a lot of experience in that side, in creating, cutting, and sewing, and draping, and all that. I've worked with some great workrooms in New York and L.A. and but it's also about creating something that it's exciting, and I almost would prefer to have something really creative walk down the runway that's poorly made than something that's, oh, look at that beautiful T-shirt dress. It's so beautiful.
And bland.
It's like
Right.
I know what you mean.
it's like that's for creativity and design input as opposed to. I get a little annoyed when someone walks up onto the runway and looks at the things afterwards. And, oh, look, this seam isn't matched and this isn't finished. Well, they've had 9 hours to make it,
Right.
and it's, you know, in the real world, like when I worked at Halston in New York, we would have, for one look, you'd have at least 3 fittings.
Right.
And that it would take several weeks of, you would fit it first in a muslin, then they'd cut it in the fabric, then you'd refit it, and then you'd refit it again, and then you'd maybe change the design a little bit to make it better. And then that's how the fashion world works. It's
Right.
not this, 9-minute thing.
Totally.
So.
I'm sure that affects. I'm sure that it has
Yeah.
a big.
So,
big
but I want to see the excitement down the runway. I'd rather, like I said, have something beautiful and creative come down there than something that's really pretty, beautifully made, and okay.
I definitely miss that creative, like, wow moments. I feel like it's not as often that we're seeing that on Project
Yeah.
Runway anymore.
Yeah.
It's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Also, I think that some of these challenges they keep doing over and over. They've
True.
been done so many times. It's like, how many more times can you go to a hardware store or to a
Right.
feedlot
Right,
and
and I
make
think
something?
we've had
How many more
3
dresses can you make
unconventional
out of plates?
challenges. Yeah, yeah. Please tell us, we have a couple of pictures of some of your designs.
Great.
And I feel like your aesthetic is usually very classic, and it can be appropriate for any age, just about.
Well,
It's
I like-
flattering.
I like understated, quiet, elegant clothes. I want a woman to be seen before they see the dress,
Right.
so to speak. She should look, and that's a great dress on Halle Berry. I was in New York last week, and my Twitter started binging, and I looked, and it's like Halle Berry wearing Bert Keeter. And I thought, what?
Yeah.
But that's something she
Amazing.
purchased at church, and it's the second piece of mine that she's bought there. And
The
she looks.
movement is beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the frustrating thing is a lot of the photographs on the Twitter aren't very flattering because, first of all, they're not great photographers, but they don't, that it's overshot, too much bright light, and some things really don't capture the look unless you're seeing it move. So,
Yeah, I think it looks
but
great
she
in
looks
movement.
great, and she's
Yeah,
a
she
gorgeous
looks great.
woman.
Her legs look
Yeah,
amazing.
let's killer legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's another shot I think of the dress that I did in a studio shot, and that gives you a better idea. And that's just 2 pieces of perfect squares of this beautiful. Actually, I bought that fabric in Italy with my previous trip. It's a
Nice.
pale sand-colored lame, and then there's a vintage bullion fringe at the neck, and it just ties in the back, and it's stitched on the side to give it a little. But this all flows on the sides, and it's very organic and very, that's what I like to do.
Beautiful.
Thank you. That is, again, that's a technique I learned at Halston. It's a soda straw. There's one seam that goes from the back neckline around the hip down to the hem. So the
Nice.
fabric's cut on the straight grain, but it's really hanging on the bias. And actually, I made that for Allison Janney. She wore that to Women in Film Award.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. There's little crystals all over it. And that's for Allison also. That was most recent Emmys that she went to. And it's a beautiful forest green silk crepe and
Yes.
cut very low and very high and no back. And she can wear it because she's 6 feet tall.
Right.
She's an amazing person. What
Right.
a really incredible human
It looks
being.
gorgeous on her coloring, too.
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Beautiful neckline.
And I made this for a client in Austria. She wore that to a big event at the Vienna Opera for the opera ball, they call it. It was a big political thing, and she just killed it in that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love the sparkle.
Yeah.
So do you have your own label then that you're working under, or how can people find you and be like, hi, I want you to make something for me, or?
I haven't, my name Bert Keeter, it's too long of a story to go into, was copyrighted by some business partners I
Oh
was
my
involved in,
gosh.
and it went south real
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
But so I really can't, it's complicated, but I'm going to create a new label, which is going to be Benton.
Okay.
Which was when I was born, my biological father was Benton.
Oh.
Nice.
And I was adopted by my stepfather when my mom got remarried, and it's Keeter, which is a very awkward name to pronounce. It's always Bert Keeter. Oh, is that Bert Peters? No, Bert Keeter. No, Kurt Teeter? No, Bert Keeter. It's like, so Benton will be an easier label.
And so if someone wants to find you, do you have a website or?
Just Google me or
okay.
Facebook, and that's the best way right
Right
now.
on,
Yeah,
okay.
again, the Bert Keeter website is down because I
Okay,
can't do
right.
that. I can use my name, like I can say this is designed by Bert
But
Keeter.
it's not it can't
a
be
label.
right.
Label. Yeah,
Got it.
technicality.
Oh, my
It's funny, Halston did that too. He sold his name. he was very successful, obviously, but he could no longer use his name after that either.
That's
But he got a couple of $1 million for it, so I don't feel so bad for him.
yeah.
Yes.
So, do you guys want to move into
Yes.
the episode?
Yes.
So this is episode 13, another unconventional challenge. This is the
Yes.
third one, second in a row. I was a
Yes.
little like, really? Okay.
Right.
And basically, they get flown to Austin, Texas.
Wow, that's
The
exciting.
most
It's-
exciting place ever.
It was kind of cool, but I was just like, this feels really out of place.
It was random.
Did
yeah.
we see Austin, Texas in this episode?
A little
We
bit.
saw a motel or a hotel.
Yes, we will. And they basically, they stay in a Best Western,
Yeah.
which is a pretty weird
Well, they're a good sponsor, I guess.
sponsor.
Yeah.
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 Cut a good check.
Right. And so the designers check in at Best Western. They go out to the pool where they meet with Tim and Nick Varios, who gives them the challenge. And basically, it's another unconventional challenge, and they get to go to Georgetown Farm Supply.
Woohoo!
They actually get $500 and 30 minutes to shop there. And then they go to Stubbs Barbecue for 5 minutes. Grab
Yeah.
whatever you can.
I was hoping someone would grab a bale of hay. I thought that, because I thought that could be a great unconventional,
Yeah.
Yeah.
piece.
I guess the closest we got to that was the rope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straw rope.
Yeah, I mean that the farm supply place was actually, there was so many different things in there that you could go for. It seemed like a really big place.
Yeah.
And $500 is a pretty good budget, but I don't
Yeah.
know what their prices are like. And my favorite part was when Erin goes for the mealworms.
Right.
That's like
She loves really
Weird.
quirky, weird things, so I couldn't wait to see what she was going to do with them, though.
totally, and
I
she
knew it was going to
totally
be interesting.
transformed them. But I just
Yes.
thought like this is probably the weirdest thing anyone's used in an unconventional challenge.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, go for it. What did you guys have any like observations of the shopping?
Those
portion?
types of challenges for me I just go blank, like blind. It's like, what am I going to, because again, like when I did the pet shop challenge, it's like, I'm not used to working in that
Yeah.
concept, but they did really good. And I loved the black dress that had the mosaics up here and those hooks that were turned upside down.
Oh, yeah,
that
me
was
too.
beautiful. I
Me
thought,
too.
really. So they, I guess, just grab whatever you can and try to, you know.
Yeah. The young lady that works with the leather all the time,
Laurence.
Lawrence. I wanted to see her get something else. Like, I was a little disappointed when she jumped straight to the leather straps, but then at the same time I had to pull back, like, that's her aesthetic. Let's see what she does.
But she
with it.
did
Like,
change the
she
color
was true to
story.
she changed her color story.
So
And
yeah.
I liked her dress this week. Like, I was happy to see her do something that really popped, and it wasn't black.
Yeah. And for me, like the unconventionals, I know that you're not used to work, and I don't think a lot of designers are, but for me, I remember when they give you 5 minutes, I'm just like, whatever the gut reaction is to a material, like, I like this. This is, a texture or a color or whatever that I like. I'm not thinking like, oh, I can use this for this, because you don't have time to, strategize. So
It's almost like grab what you like and you'll figure out where it can go later.
as long as it kind of goes with your aesthetic and you have a, like, because that's what fashion is. It's like a gut reaction. It's emotional.
is.
So if that
It
works with
is.
you, then that's, I think, going to come across. But sometimes you can get a little screwed in the end because you're like, how am I going to use this metal, tubing or something? I
Right.
can't even cut it. So
Right.
I think it just depends. But
It
really,
makes
you
for
have,
a good show.
yeah, but you have 5 minutes. So,
Right.
I think the previous unconventional challenge where they were at the warehouse and some of those looks were pretty gorgeous.
Yes,
and I love like the metal
absolutely.
and the kind of
Beautiful.
industrial.
They almost
I
didn't
love
look like they were-
industrial.
It
But
almost
the
didn't
metal
look-
can get so heavy.
and dangerous. It's
Yeah,
very,
dangerous.
Very easy to cut yourself and
Yeah.
hurt the model or somebody.
Right on. So basically, the city slogan of Austin is "Keep Austin Weird," and all these screenshots of like weird murals and wacky stuff. And I've never been to Austin, but I've been to Dallas, and I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like they're
Maybe
making
I've
it
been
seem
some-
weirder than it is.
Yeah, maybe I've been some really weird places in life, but nothing about Austin strikes me
Yeah.
as weird. So I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe
I
big
don't know.
country.
I've
but
never heard that before. Okay. So basically, the winner of this challenge gets 50 free nights at Best Western, which is kind of cool. That's like, I don't know, worth
Worldwide.
quite a bit of money. Yeah, so hey, you want to go like take a trip to Europe or go
Right.
whatever and take
It
your family
works.
with you? Great.
I'll take it.
They get 2 days for this challenge, which is awesome for an unconventional challenge, but there's a twist. So Tim comes in like day 1.5 and says, you have to make a second look.
Right.
And I'm expecting like the designers that already got kicked off to come back and help sew like they always do. Or, he's going to give them extra time. No, there's none of that. So I feel like they kind of got shortchanged because, yeah, it's a twist. Yeah, it's a challenge. But like, if they want people to make really lovely, awesome, inspiring stuff come down the runway, like they need a little bit of time.
I think also they do that to try to create some sort of
Anxiety.
potential for drama.
Yeah,
Sure.
anxiety.
They want someone to break down and cry or something.
It's like not dramatic enough to have 2 days to make like a...
Yeah.
It's a little distracting, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I've been in those situations where you have like 10 hours to create a ridiculous amount of work. So it's just like the amount of focus that you have, even in a normal setting when it's just you and you have to get it done.
Yeah.
Imagine being distracted by everybody around you and that pressure around you. I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, when I'm doing that at home, like a rush job or something, I have patterns I can rely on. I have stuff I know fits. I have,
You have your
things
materials
I can...
that you use all the time.
Yeah, and I
like-
can fall back on that. This is like, you're out of your comfort zone. You don't have any time. You don't have anything. So
I don't think I don't believe they're filming at Parsons anymore because Parsons building is gone, sort of. But my season, you'd be working, you've got like 6 hours left, and they're always dragging you off to do an interview.
Right.
Which is like, I'm busy. and then in Parsons, it was in one building, you'd walk down the stairs, through a hallway, up an elevator, through another building. And,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then you'd sit and wait on a sofa for 20 minutes while they finished the other designer. And you
So
just
it
think, I can't sit here much longer. I've got all this work to finish.
Yeah.
Please.
Right. That could be a part of the manipulation
And you're
process.
exhausted and it's hot.
But everybody gets taken, so it's fair that way. Ours
Well, not
was a lot
everybody,
closer.
not all
though.
the time. But
I think they're supposed to take everybody once through that challenge, though.
But sometimes people stay longer, or
Right.
you're held up at the back. But it's just like, come on.
Well, then when you're home, if you have a day to do something, at least you can work through the night.
Mm-hmm.
But it would kill me to know that I have to sit still for 8 hours
Yeah.
and I can't put my hands on my project.
I know.
Like, I want to work now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they basically go back to Mood. They get $200 in 30 minutes to get supplemental fabrics to work this second look. And I think a lot of them were kind of just like, what's the easiest thing I can possibly do? Did you guys have any opinions about like stuff that was happening in the workroom or the talks with Tim before we get to the runway?
Well, I think that from what I've seen, it appears that everyone seems to get along very well. They're really
Yeah.
mature and
Yeah,
adults
they
about it.
are.
There's no, bitch fighting going on, and which is nice. And I think what's important. Sometimes designers or contestants forget that you're on TV and the world sees you, and it might be a potential employer or somebody would refer you a job, and you have to act like it is a professional profession,
Right.
not just some creative outlet. So you have to act like an industry professional to go forward.
Do you find a lot of catty kind of rivalry in the fashion?
Yes.
Like between designers a lot? Is it very catty? I haven't run into that yet.
It's not really rivalry. I feel like there's two different, like for me, I just choose to work with people that are cool because I don't care how rich you are or
Yeah.
famous. I'm like, if I don't like you, I'm like, I don't have the time of day.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of, but it's not really rivalry because everybody's different, but there's definitely a lot of fashion designers that like, they won't give you information, they won't like help you, and it's like, just stay out of that community because
Well,
there's
even
plenty of other people that will.
Even on my season, there was we had one of those things. You're going back to Mood all the time, and I had bought my It was a team challenge, and someone on my team needed more money, and I had money left over, so I gave it to this person. And then later in the workroom, I'm using a serge machine or Merrill machine, which I don't usually use ever.
Yeah.
They're very complicated to re-thread, and one of the threads broke, and I asked this person if she would help me. And she said, "I'm sorry, Bert, I'm busy." And I thought, didn't I just give you $200
Yeah.
over Mood or something like
know.
that? But someone else on my
Start a war,
team,
baby.
another person on my team stepped forward and he helped me, and it made it work. And he actually went on to win another project episode. He won. Talking about Anthony Ryan, he helped me, and he won All Stars, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I find like that's the type of person I'd want to work with in the real world.
definitely.
It's like, you don't take people as a threat. Why not? Even on the show, like
Exactly.
if you help somebody, it's not like you're doing something stupid. I feel like it's
I don't want to
better.
win because someone broke
Right.
the thread on the mirror machine. They couldn't get a I want to win
Right.
because my design is better.
Right, exactly.
Not
So no
because they
matter
could-
what you do to help that person, it's not going to affect that if you're doing,
Exactly.
your best work. I always felt like that, but
I mean, by all means, don't show up asking, like, looking for somebody to help you design your piece. But
I think there's a line, yeah, for
Don't-
sure. Some
yeah,
people
that'd be
on
so
my
petty.
season 2 were the same. Like everybody was helping them because they didn't, quite know what they were doing and stuff.
Right.
And, but I mean, there's definitely a line, but I don't see anything wrong with helping other
No.
designers, and it comes back around, like you said.
Karma.
So we have the runway coming up, and we have Priyanka Chopra and Georgina Chapman. What do you guys think of these judges?
Well, I
I
can't pronounce her name, but she's lovely, and I thought she brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm to her judging. Georgina is gorgeous, the beautiful Georgina Chapman.
I know.
I found some of her comments or critiques a little too trite, a little too sort of like,
it's like they challenge themselves to be as rude and petty as
Yeah,
they can
and-
be
and
when
wordy,
they give you.
and it's
It's
I
just
kind of
sometimes it's
like-
over the top. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's funny just for the sake of it being a show, but it's like these contestants get ripped apart.
When she
They
mentioned
do.
the thing about the belly button on
That's terrible.
on Robert's rope dress, I thought, seriously, all the nudity that we see on the runway, and and he's created this incredible work of art,
Right.
and she's pointing out the belly button. It's like that's
I
not
get it, though.
valid.
I know it's just a
I mean, a
nitpicky
bathing
thing.
suit is
yeah.
is a bikini. It's
Right.
like
I personally kind of like Georgina Chapman. She actually judged one of my looks that was horrible, and she was she was really kind to me. And it would like Georgina Chapman is like feminine, lacy, elegant, and I'm like edgy, like just kind of badass like woman that I dress. And so I was like, she's not even gonna get this, and I'm gonna get tore up. And she was really the only judge that was like trying to see things from my point of view, even though it wasn't hers. And I feel like I see her doing that with other designers too, because I just thought she's not gonna understand this.
The one person whose comments or opinion I always appreciate, and I do not think they're influenced by the producers too much or at all, even, is Nina. Because she is a professional. She's been in the industry a long time, and she sees everything, and it's not always what I would have said or thought about, but I think she's very honest and she's looking at it as an editor, and that's why I value it a lot.
I like hers too, 'cause she's always straight up about it. And I don't think she's necessarily mean, but she is strict, I think.
It is a tough business. The first time Allison wore a gown of mine and she was on the red carpet, oh my God, it's going to be on TV. People are going to start saying, it's like you need to have an honest, it's not your mama sitting there saying, oh, it's so pretty. It's like, this is an industry professional, and listen
need
to
the
what
truth.
listen to what she's saying.
And I think a lot of designers need to learn how to take critiques too. And sometimes, like I remember being in with Tim, and I was like, I'm not going to listen to him at all. But but you have to learn when you have to learn how to take it, because a lot of the designers are like, oh, that person doesn't like my stuff, and they get really insecure about it. And I'm just like, no, you have to take it, and you have to step outside of your own box and see, is that person telling the truth or not? And you could possibly be improving.
There's a big difference. What I call constructive criticism,
Right.
and someone just being
tearing you down.
catty about it.
Right.
So-
Now, do you ever feel like it's a part of the game when Tim comes around and gives his critiques to tell you something to change your idea? Like, does that play in your mind like, oh no, I'm not changing you know what I mean? Like, do you think that they manipulate people in that way?
Somewhat, yeah.
Like, tell them that maybe it isn't good enough, or tell them that they should
Yeah.
change their direction to kind of influence who wins?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
but
it's
I also
looking
think,
too good.
Right. And I think everybody, like Tim is so respected that the designers get in there and they're like, oh, Tim told me something, I have to listen to it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter how, prestigious someone is. Yes, you should take their advice, into consideration, but you should take it with a grain of salt, because it's you. You got to do you.
You have to, and one of my episodes of the Avant-Garde Challenge, Betsy Johnson, I think, was supposed to be our judge that week, and her granddaughter gave birth to her great granddaughter, I guess, the day just as we were supposed to be, and so she just came in. She said, "I can't hang around. I got to go up to state New York," and she said, you have to have a point of view. If you don't have a point of view as a designer, you're nothing. So that's always stuck with me. And as far as Tim goes, I admire Tim as a personality and a character, but you know, what is his design background? I mean, he was director of admissions at Parsons. He was never a design teacher. He was never a critic, and he would never. This is something he's really slid into very nicely. But I'm not saying he doesn't have a point of view, but he's not a designer. He's not an editor. He's
Maybe
you know.
he chooses
He's like a fashion
quality
critic.
control.
Yeah.
He's a personality, and I think also sometimes there may be a little frustrated designer in there somewhere of him. You know,
yeah.
that he would like to have been a designer, but it wasn't the path he.
I'd
was,
be curious to see what he would design.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, but so I've seen it personally when he deters the designer from moving forward with a look that could possibly really be great.
Right.
And quite often he'll say, "Oh, I love this. Go for it. Make it." You know, and then they're out.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you have to stick to your
Right.
gut.
But also, to be fair, when Tim comes in, you have like weird random stuff on the mannequin totally unfinished.
Right.
He's not necessarily seeing it the same way you are in your
Yeah,
head.
I just
so-
don't know if it's not. Wouldn't I just think sometimes it's not the right-
Contrived.
Well, not even contrived. It's just that he's the wrong voice to listen to. But you have to really stick to your. At the end of the day, when you get eliminated, it's like, well,
You're still
it's
responsible.
Tim's fault.
Yeah, yeah,
No, it's
exactly.
not. It's your fault.
Right. Okay, let's quickly talk about the looks. We've got about 10-15 minutes left.
Cool.
So let's start with Cornelius. This is
my
his
dear Cornelius.
high fashion look and his unconventional piece. And it's basically kind of just a shift dress, and he's created these flowers out of these basically solo cups that he picked up at
We
the...
painted them. I imagine
Yeah.
spray painted it.
I love this when it came out.
I loved it.
I guess the
loved
only
it.
thing that could have made it more of a statement would be the silhouette. You know, if
Right.
it had some sort of silhouette other than basically a body fit. You know,
I just love how I'm
beautifully executed.
Yeah, I'm big into like geometry,
Right.
and I love how symmetric his work is. You can look at the flowers and tell that he took his time, really cut things carefully. He lays them and places them perfectly. I love the texture that he creates, and I was really sad to see
Yeah.
him go.
Yeah.
I think
because
all-
I thought that this was great.
I
Yeah.
think all of them were really good at executing their ideas. There's nothing sloppy or messy or
Right.
like falling apart on these guys.
Even his second look, I like the body shape of like the style of the jumper and the gold accents on the shoulders.
Yeah.
I think if he had more time, he could have elaborated more on the shoulders, but I liked it on the
Yeah.
sleeves. I mean,
Yeah.
I,
I wrote
it.
that about the silhouette too. I feel like this is great, but if he wanted to maybe elevate it a little bit, you know, he could have, instead of had the flowers, have more like leaves or have a different silhouette or, you know, something
A
else
cinched
going
waist,
on.
maybe a
Yeah,
more
but I
cinched
still
waist.
thought it was fabulous, and I love that he always uses color. It really
Definitely.
shows up
His
well on the
textiles are
runway, and
amazing.
I love how the solo cups had kind of these ridges, and it wasn't just like plastic bits.
Right.
I can't believe they get this stuff to stay on there.
Yeah.
And I love the way you don't really like he takes things and he transforms them so it doesn't
Yeah.
look like cups on a dress.
Right.
You know, like you have to really take a good look and say, "Oh my goodness, those are cups."
Yeah,
You
and
know, he
it's
does a
really
good
bold.
job with that.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, that was a good look.
Let's take a look at his second look. This would be the conventional, I guess, look. And it's really cute. I think it's just a kind of a black jumpsuit.
I love it.
With a wide leg, and the sleeves kind of have this embroidery detail. I just wish the embroidery detail would have looked more like the flowers. Would have been as bold. But it's really cute and wearable. What did
For
you
me,
guys
it's
think?
like, why did they make them even do these second looks? Again,
I know,
it's
they were just thrown
it's another
together.
ready. It's
Yeah.
like you could walk into many stores and find that
Right.
basically that idea, and all of the secondary looks
Right.
are out there. So they just basically, because they're exhausted and they're worried about their main look.
Yeah.
And, okay, let me make something fast and easy, and I can't think anymore.
I know. This
I
was
like
one of
his
my
cuts.
favorites, though,
Yeah,
for
I
the
like his
conventional.
cut. Like
yeah.
I like the length of the
Yeah, the pant, yeah,
Like,
cool.
that was really.
I think this would be
cute.
flattering on almost any body type. So, and you know, it's dark. So
But
it's
we know by
flattering.
now that they can do that. So it's like, why make them, you know, I think
Right,
they're
right.
really waiting for the emotional turmoil. that
Right.
Something like
They were
that
like,
can bring.
let's amp this up. So out of 1 to 10, I kind of rated his looks as a pair, like a tiny collection, and I gave it an 8. What would you guys give it?
Oh, I'm not good at stuff like that.
I'll just-
I'm gonna
But-
give him an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked his first look a lot. I just wish the actual silhouette, not the motif, was more exaggerated, more of a statement
Yeah.
than just a basic T-shirt, you know, fitted T-shirt dress, sleeveless.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next designer. We have Erin, and this is her high fashion look. And like I said, I just love the fact that she used the mealworms, and she basically spray painted them gold and put them as kind of the inside part of these flowers that she made out of guitar picks. She's kind of got this armored top that she made out of the flowers and
it's like
the bottle
pins, I think. Like,
pieces.
yeah, bottle. Is it bottle caps or is it pins?
No,
Little
you're right.
pins?
It's like a band pin. Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of band
I was
pins.
disappointed when she eliminated the first silhouette. That was that sort of A-line
A-line,
piece.
yeah.
I'm not sure what it was, but at least I thought it was great looking. And her technique on the top is exquisite. I mean, it looks like Prada or something that's really, very. But again, it's she's doing this sort of little space thing
flowers,
over and over and over again. And I'm thinking, okay, she's good at arts and crafts, whereas the actual silhouette creativity and the skirt, I'm not sure what that's made out of, but I just think the top is beautiful, but it didn't really. It's like, okay, I've got a beautiful top now. Let's put something with but
That's
it's
how I
beautifully.
felt,
It's beautifully
too.
executed, and really nothing amateur about it. It just looks. It's great top, and it's even also this is a little too much up here. I mean, on a woman. I mean, again, if it was less, because when all those things add a lot of dimension and thickness to your body.
Right.
When she turned sideways, it would probably make it look she's a triple D or something.
I would agree. I believe that she looks top heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a balanced piece. Like
But
the
this-
back is
yeah.
out, the skirt is short and stiff.
I think if she'd done that motif, spaced it more and made it more of a silhouette that was like a cute little skimp or something, or an A-line, it
Absolutely.
would look gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree with you guys.
Yeah,
I didn't
she's
really like the
imbalanced.
skirt at all. It was kind of like, oh, I spent all this time on the top, and then it's just like a little
Yeah.
white tint.
It's not. It's not
It's too
flattering.
short. It doesn't look like the pieces go together
Yeah.
to
We
me.
can't take anything away from her, like you said, her arts and
Right.
crafts abilities. Like, she's really cute at creating things. Like,
And the avant-garde
Overseen,
piece I didn't
but-
like either. I didn't think that was
I
from
just,
the previous
Yeah,
season.
we have seen her
episode.
do these flowers
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
times, but I feel like that's part of her signature, and she does them differently out of different type of things every time. And I mean, if she uses it in a different way, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just it's kind of her go-to.
Yeah.
So
I would have
let's-
liked to see the white at the top and maybe the skirt.
Oh yeah, to balance it a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look at her second look. And she's basically kind of got this rad, crazy, bold print. It's kind of orange and blue with big pineapples and flowers and stuff over it. It's just a big jumpsuit. I thought this was pretty cool for having her cheap, fast throwaway look. It kind of reminds me of Poochie, and
I did like the detailing and the way
Yeah.
she fringed it. I think it had been ripped edges, and I thought it was actually pretty in a way. I'm not a fan of that type of item, but because there's zillions of them out there. But I thought it was lively and young, and not young, but it was sophisticated and lively and current looking. But again, all of these secondary looks, except for I think one, were very like, okay, I'm just gonna make something fast.
I know.
Right. It was
But I think
okay
she
to
was
me.
smart with the
Yeah,
fabric
yeah.
pick. She made it fun, and it's her
Yep.
brand, but it's easy to make.
That's what I
and
was
I think a
gonna
lot of
say.
women would want this.
Oh yeah,
To
definitely.
me, the fabric did all the work because,
Yeah.
like, the piece is cool. I like the way it moved, but it didn't really wow me.
It was all about the print.
It was
sure.
all about the print.
So out of 1 to 10, I gave Erin an 8. Also, what did you guys want to rate it? 1 to 10.
I don't know.
I'm so tough.
I would have given. I think.
I'm gonna give her a 6.
Yeah.
A little bit above average, but she could have did better.
Of the two looks, the main looks, this and the previous one, I think the first one with the yellow flowers is much more of a real garment, as opposed to the other one was more like a majorette without her thing. And so I'd give her like a 7 or
Okay,
something.
cool.
Yeah.
I always rate. Let's go to our next design. I always rate them kind of in competition with each other too, because I just have no idea what I would compare it to otherwise.
This I didn't like.
So this
I'll
was
just say it right off the bat.
This was Laurent's, and in her high fashion look, she did choose to do sort of color. I guess it's just brown, but at least we can see the detailing on the runway instead of her usual
Yeah.
black. And I like she kind of used the harnesses, the dog and the horse pony stuff as part of it, and then she used bird seed to make kind of this pleated skirt.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that they're keeping her. Okay, I don't think that Laurence is a bad designer, but she doesn't wow me. Like, I'm happy to see her step outside of her box. I'm happy to see that she didn't use black and didn't do details that are so small that we can't see what's going on. Because a lot of her stuff is like hanger appeal. Like, you have to be up on it.
Yeah.
It's not really runway appeal. But the young fellow that went home, I can only imagine that they got him out of the way because there's somebody that they want him to win. Because I can't understand why she's still here. And Cornelius is his name?
Yeah.
Cornelius went home. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, this, I mean, I like the mediums that she chose, but I felt it looked very artsy. Really, this is like one of the looks that did
Like
not
arts
look,
and craftsy.
was not executed to look like a real garment. It
was
really did look
overwrought
like
a
a
It was
bit.
very
art
stiff.
craft.
It didn't really move
And
very well.
but I like some of the things she chose. I just don't like what she did with it. And it was, I'm over all that, you know, those things wrapped around it, and it just looked thick and lumpy. But the silhouette itself, again, was not anything exciting. And also the styling, I don't think it helped it.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I love that she kind of did a longer skirt. She always does these really short skirts. But there's, like, napkins popping out of the skirt, and there's just, like, too much going on. I think if she would have just kept the silhouette, made it a little
It
more
looked like
streamlined.
there's that one of those
Just
TV
don't
shows where it's a girl and I think her sister. They're like Greek warriors or something.
Yeah,
a little bit.
She's
Yeah,
missing
a
her
little bit.
sword.
Those straps and that
Right.
diagonal strap coming.
Yeah, and I think she tried to
just-
do the color, but, like, I don't know, it's brown. Yeah. So, let's take a look at her conventional look real quick. So, I mean, this was, like, okay. I don't think a lot of women can wear mustard, but I do consider it kind of a high-end color just
I thought
because
it was.
of that.
I liked it.
I like this.
Yeah, and I thought the back detail was very interesting
Yeah.
and well executed.
It's
Yeah,
wearable,
because
Because
and
it's
I mean,
very simple in the front, and you've got the accent in the back, which I
This
thought
could
is
be like
chic.
Laurent's
It's
for-
a chic. It
yeah.
could be. If that
For
was
some-
done all in black, again, black leather with
Better,
black and
yeah.
the open back, it would be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Or a monotone color. I think maybe. But I think again, it's the mustard. It looks good with the first look, and I like that.
yeah. So I gave it a 6 based on kind of the
Yeah,
pairing of the two.
Yeah.
The first look to me was not comparable. to
Right,
others.
but then they kind of balance out.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
not that
that's-
she's bad. I just think certain things are for certain people. Like everything isn't for everybody. So
I love her work, but it is a very subtle, up
It
close
is.
which I like.
type of thing. But it looks so expensive and really thought out, you know?
And I personally think that she has her thing.
Right.
And she
But it's
doesn't-
not runway
she
because
can't
it's too subtle.
She's not, and doesn't, which I can appreciate, doesn't want to just be a jack of all trades.
Right.
I can do this, I can do that. She said, this is what I'm here for, is to show what I do. And that's sort of like what I did. When they asked me to jazz it up a bit, I thought, what are they talking about? You know, but that's not my style, and I don't
Right.
think they should. I think they should help you evolve your style and not say you need to change your style.
Right.
right.
So
I
she's
agree.
sticking
That's-
to her guns.
That's a
Right.
good point.
Give her credit for that.
Okay, moving on, we have Roberry.
Loved it.
And so Roberry kind of
was.
created this dress that looks very organic with cables, and he kind of tied all these knots out of this this rope, which I wonder how itchy it is for the
Electrical
model.
cords and everything.
But it looks, the technique is beautiful. I just thought it feels unfinished. Like I would have made it, you know, like lined it with a gown or something where it's like more incorporated, because I understand he didn't have the time, but I felt like this had the potential to be like an 11, but he, you know, because of the time constraint, it wasn't completely finished, and so it didn't quite meet that.
I think part of the first look for me is the way that it does look sort of random and
Yeah,
not
I love it.
not-
I love
not-
the
not,
technique.
not
love it.
finished.
Right.
I don't mind that there's nothing underneath it or another thing going with it or whatever, but I was just amazed that he did it, because I mean he
Yes.
must have had experience in this sort of technique before to
Yeah,
come
he
up with
says
something
he,
like that.
He does this when he gets nervous.
He must be very nervous.
He said he was nervous and he had anxiety, so he made his anxiety dress.
But also the colors and the tones and those chords and those
It's
strings.
beautiful.
It's just very. I mean, if he could evolve that, and that could be a whole. I think Nina mentioned that could be a whole story
Oh, yeah.
behind that
Yeah.
technique and that color story.
I think the
really
way he
good.
does it looks so refined. You know,
Yes.
sometimes when people do this, like it looks really crafty, and it's
was-
just
Right.
all of the winding pieces are just all in the right spot.
I want
and
to
it's
snack Zach's hand last night when he said macrame or hippie. I think he said hippie something. And that's nothing about that is of that period.
Right, yeah, I
That's
agree.
very organic and very modern.
Yeah,
so,
I think so too.
Yeah.
And then for his second look, He kind of did this asymmetrical dress with all these different pieces and fabrics.
I love his work.
To me, it kind of looked like silk ties.
Yeah.
It does.
But I love the way that there's all these angles on the bottom, and I think it's very modern. I didn't love the back as much.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't have very much time, but like for being stressed out, trying to finish his knotted dress, and doing this, I think it's stellar work.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another piece I think that if he had time to create it going forward, that front of that dress looks to me like it could be on a runway in
It
Europe.
was
Oh, yeah.
beautiful.
Because it is editorial, it is graphic. The color combinations are very, especially this red and blue, and then this
Yeah.
interior is brown, which
Yeah, it
works
almost
well
looked nude.
with her skin
Yeah.
color. It was gorgeous, and
was
even the
beautiful.
back. There are a lot of dresses which I don't really like in the market. They're all those jazzes on the front, and you turn it around, it's like.
That's how you know
Yeah.
something's cheap. When
That's
the
when
back
it's
has
But they're not quite often very cheap. They're still,
It's just only here from here to here.
But,
I know.
But the time limit for him was probably it's a very awkward thing to create to make that happen on the front, let alone the back is more difficult because of the curves and the hips and the butt.
Maybe even if he would have used the striped fabric in the back, I would have felt like it's more
Contoured a little bit.
It makes more sense.
Yeah.
Like the front and the back are cohesive.
I saw
But
that come out and I just thought, wow,
Yeah.
and it looked
Yeah.
great. And
It
both
looked
of those
great.
pieces were exceptional.
Ruberry's really like an artist. I think he's the most
Yes.
artisty one. I mean, Aaron's very artisty too, but I feel like he's more.
He has the most experience, I think, with avant-garde.
Yeah, I like his
sure.
personality. He's young, older than I thought he
an
was.
artsy.
I think he's like 32 or something. And I thought
I'm so bad
he
at
comes
guessing
off at
people's
like
ages.
20 something, but I think he is a creative person, and he brings his. He's just doing what he feels, and that those are two
He's
great
a
Right.
things.
true
I feel like
artist.
he doesn't really get manipulated by the other designers, or he's really like focusing on
confident.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Um,
only critique would have been if the back could have been a little
Yeah.
more contoured. Other than that, I thought his pieces were amazing.
Yeah.
Right. I gave it a 7.
I give him a 9. I give him a 9.
I give him a 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I give him a 9.
I'm really picky, so. And do we have any designers left?
Yes.
Rick. How could I forget Rick?
Right.
So basically, his first high fashion look is made out of records that he crushed up. He's got them kind of all glued on the bodice, and it's kind of like a dark black armory look with the straps on it, and then he's kind of made a bandage skirt out of these like leashes and stuff. I love it. This is straight up my alley.
Really?
And then and then he's got the I know, and I love Rick. And then he's got the clips, in the back, and I just thought it was so expensive looking and well put together.
And I don't know how I mean, these things are very dangerous. These broken records and
Oh,
all
yeah.
these things they're using. It's easy to cut yourself, the model, or she's walking and all of a sudden something slips. I mean, because they are really thrown together. It's a good look. It's not as runway exciting as it is when it's moving because the light hits it. But standing still, it looks
The
like a little
black
black
on
dress.
black.
But
Yeah.
it is. But again, I like things that are. Life is not lived on a runway.
Right.
That's true.
And when you're standing up next to this person in a party or an event, you look. That's a gorgeous dress
like,
you've got.
wow.
Some of these things that are great on the runway, you get up close, and like, ooh.
Yeah.
Right.
I see the dress, but I don't see you. That is a nice piece.
I think it'd be great for like someone to wear on the red carpet at the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's like
Yeah.
records, but it's also really fierce. And it's like
It would
doesn't have to
be.
be a gown. I loved it.
And it actually is wearable. Like, it doesn't look junky.
Yeah.
Right.
And I loved his second look.
I love when I mentioned earlier about the hooks turned upside down. I forgot that was last week's look because they're all sort of blending in together. But these unconventional. But I thought that was gorgeous too.
Yeah.
The mosaic and the hooks. It was really fierce.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at his second look. This for me didn't really do it. It was too sweet, but it's basically just kind of like an A-line skirt and a bodice and some straps, and then he made it out of tweed, which he kind of ripped up to show the leather underneath.
This was one critique of Tim's that paid off because he originally had that little like Peter Pan collar thing
And the
on
little
neckline.
buttons, yeah.
That was,
I was like, Rick, where are you?
this is a look I think that he could evolve into a group of 4 or 5 pieces with the ripped tweed with the leather underneath. It's a
Yes.
very sort of vintage look that's been distressed, and I like her natural hair with it. It's got a good look to it, and with the boot and all that. I think that's a boot.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I don't know. For me, there was a disconnect because I was like, I know what Rick normally does, and then this was like, I don't know. I know he didn't have a lot of time, but it was like not dark enough for his aesthetic. It was kind of cute, and I appreciate like the ripped tweed, but I felt like he had a huge patch on the back, and I wish I would have seen more patches to make it seem like intentional, because it just seemed like ratting out, and it didn't seem like it made sense with the first look that was so polished, you know. But I did like kind of the patent pieces that he added. But I didn't like the straps. They looked really kind of cheap, too wide for me.
I think he got ripped on that in the back when she turned around or something.
Yeah,
I think that was it.
yeah. So total overall score for Rick, I gave it a 6 just because I felt that disconnect. I really loved the first one. Maybe I'd bump it up to a 7, but I really, really liked the first one. But the second one, I was kind of like, I don't see these in the same collection. Maybe the second one could be in a different collection, like some kind of punk-inspired, you know, thing. But
maybe like toss the jacket on with it.
Yeah,
like
maybe
some sort of cute leather.
Yeah. Something that would go back to the...
Or you buy it and you never wear it, like a lot of
right.
people.
Yeah.
Or you buy it and never wear it. Exactly. I'll give him a 7.
I liked it.
Okay, I'll give him a 7.
I actually liked the second look better than the first look.
I thought it was darling. I thought it was cute. And I like the
cute.
high waist, how it kind of cinched in high. And
it's definitely wearable. You know.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, I liked that one actually better.
So we see Cornelius go home, which I don't really
agree with at all.
Who would you guys have sent home?
Well, I would have started switching it around a few weeks ago. With people
Yes,
being sent home.
yes, but
like no one would be here.
Yeah.
But let's say you're a judge on
I
this
think
panel
the
today.
look that was the worst on the runway was, and again I'm bad with names, is the brown with the leather and
Laurence.
the Laurence. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just sending,
just based on her design.
I mean, it's hard to send someone home because they did a bad event if they've been doing good all season, and if you're judging them just on that runway presentation, she should have gone home.
I agree.
I just think it is Project Runway. It's not Project
Give people a chance.
It's not Project Give People a Chance. It's not Project Hanger Appeal. It's Project Runway.
It's not Project Sample Maker.
Yeah, it's not Project Sample Maker. So it's like your clothes need to hit the runway and make an impact.
Yeah, I
to
agree.
win. And Laurence just isn't doing that for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not runway.
Yeah. From her first look, I was kind of confused.
The one last week with the square shoulders, I thought that was really beautiful.
Her work is beautiful.
But this one to me looked like Loving Hands at Home, amateur, amateur
I think
hour.
she was trying to take Tim and maybe the judges' advice from like the weeks prior to add the color and step out of her box. But I think she wasn't doing it in a smart way. She was just kind of saying, I have to do this, and so I'm doing it. You know, even with the brown straps, she could have done a black dress and used the brown straps. And that would have given, as long as the details are standing
again, some of them have really great technique when they get to all this ditzy stuff. She's more into the simple, understated, so it was probably a stretch for her to do that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what she does for the finale.
So, and then we see Robert wins the challenge, and he is so relieved because he looked a little bit like he was losing it in the workroom.
My money's on him. My money's on him for the win.
So okay, so you guys are betting for Robert. I really think Erin's gonna win because I think she's kind of been slotted to win from the beginning, and she's kind of the weird, quirky. She does a lot of color. She kind of goes outside the box.
I don't see her quirky and weird. I see her sort of like uptight and.
She is a little uptight at the same time.
Very which is fine, but. I don't see her quirky and weird. I see her sort of like anal and uptight.
Really?
When they're designing,
I think all of that, though,
perfect,
I get that, too, because...
I want to see some creativity, not just good little details.
She gives me weird with her, like, bubble coat thing she has going on and her wide, like, silhouette.
She's like obsessed with bananas. Like, I follow her on
like,
Instagram, and
she's
she has like a
quirky.
banana phone. She goes to the banana store, like, have all these... It's really funny.
Of the 4 designers that I think has a really great opportunity to be a great potential new designer is Robert. I think he has a lot of creativity and a lot of that's real. That it's creative, but it's also something that a woman can wear and that will be something that she'll want to wear more than once or twice. But that's what I like to design, things you're going to want to wear this year and then years later, I'm going to still put that thing on, and I think his things are like that.
Right, I think he's super creative, but at the same time, there's kind of a timelessness to it, and there's something very organic and elegant to it. And I feel like, and he's from Venezuela, so do you guys think, and you're in Europe a lot, do you think there's a difference between like American designers and designers abroad where they're taking their inspiration?
Yes.
Because I see that in Robert.
He's more intellectual in a free way. You can be intellectual, I think, and make it very tired and old and staid because you're too intellectualizing it. But his is more of an organic, intellectual, and creative part.
And I think he's focusing. I just see him focusing more inwardly in an
You know,
artistic
I
way.
think he's creating things that he's feeling, not things he's seen.
Yeah.
And I think he creates from like a sense of passion where I feel like Erin, yeah, she's passionate, but I feel like there's another motivation going on there.
It's just
you know?
good. He's good with constructing things. Like he's really good with taking materials and constructing. And I think he's confident in his ability.
Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
And his
Which is what you
confidence
need.
is helping him win. Yeah.
All right,
He doesn't
so
second guess himself.
where can we find you guys on social media so the viewers can follow you?
I'm Bert_Keeter on Twitter.
Okay, and we can find you on Facebook
And
too.
Facebook all the time.
And Carmen Cameron on Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook as well, Carmen Cameron.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Uberreste. And we will see you guys next week for the finale. You're probably not going to
Yay.
want to miss that episode. Please check out our special guest, Bert Keeter, and
Yes,
get him
thanks
to make
for
you
coming.
some
Such a
custom
fun-
My
gowns.
pleasure. Lovely to meet you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.